My name's Georgia Rowswell, and I am sitting in my gallery and studio, Blue Door Arts, located in the heart of downtown Cheyenne. When people do come to my gallery, they have a couple questions for me, like, where do you get your inspiration from? How do you do your work? And why do you do it? And I usually start with my personal story of my husband and I moving from Atlanta, Georgia to Cheyenne about 11 years ago. And when we were moving, I thought, I really don't know what I'm going to do when I get to Wyoming. How am I going to express my Western voice? The figure and animals never really appear in my work, and I knew that that was a large portion of what Western art was about. So we came to Wyoming not knowing what to expect. And when we got here, as we traveled across the state, visiting different cities, I realized it was going to be Wyoming's geology and landscape that was going to inform my work. Wyoming's geology not only inspired me for subject matter, but it was really the reason why and how I came to the way I'm working now. One day, my husband Dave and I were driving down one of Wyoming's long roads, and we drove through a road cut. And I remember looking up, and seeing layer after layer of stratified colors and patterns, and it was just really interesting to me, and I thought, I'd like to do something with that. I'd like to interpret that, but I don't think I want to paint it. That doesn't seem interesting enough. And so my next thought was, I'm going to do that in fabric. My next thought was, I'm going to do that with old clothes and other household textiles that come from thrift stores. And what I really love about that is thrift stores are kind of like archaeological digs. You get some information about the people that live in the region, things they like, what they do, from going to thrift stores. So this brings us to the second question people always like to ask me is, how do you do what you do? So let's go over to my easel and discover that. I'm working on a piece now that's almost completed, and it is an image of a landscape we see on our way into Crystal Reservoir. It's a favorite camping and fishing spot of ours. It's part of Kirk Gowdy State Park, just 30 minutes west of Cheyenne. So the first thing I do is I build up a foundation. I don't need the entire thickness of the box. So I'll build that foundation up, and it gives me a chance to work in some actual layers that pop out. And then of course I'm layering strip by strip as I create the image. And I'll do a colored pencil sketch because I like to work that way. It helps me to really look at the photo and look at the composition and the colors involved. So I've got some strips here, and I'm going to show you how I cut those strips. I use this Hercules electric rotary cutter to cut multiple layers of fabric at a time. Makes it really easy. Sometimes people ask me, am I sewing those strips in? No. What I use is an archival adhesive that I mix myself. And I simply take my gluey brush, lay some glue down, and I create my image strip by strip, changing colors when needed. I get a chance to work with a lot of fun textures. Right now I'm using this beautiful royal blue, which is a corduroy. When I have corporate clients like hospitals and colleges, they sometimes require an extra top frame with using quality plexi or glass, and that can be done too. Right, there's one more important question to answer, and that's why. Why do I make art? Well, art has been important to me my entire life. If I go a week or two without making art, I get crabby, just as my family. But more importantly, art is a way for me to communicate, to talk about what I think is beautiful, what I think is important. Several years ago, when we lived in the South, I had a show in Valdosta, Georgia. And a friend of mine came down to see it. And after the show the next day, she got a hold of me and said, Georgia, I never thought that we lived in a pretty or interesting area. But when I saw your artwork at the show, when I saw your landscapes, I decided I was going to drive home that night and try to look at the land through your eyes. And I just thought that was such a beautiful remark. And I hope that if you don't already know how beautiful Wyoming's landscapes are, how interesting Wyoming's geology is, I hope that my work will help you to see that. Thank you.